Good day, folks. This is your Hillbilly Historian from the hills of East Tennessee, talking to you about history, historicity, historiography, and other great fictions. Uh, Tonight, I would like to talk a little bit about my experience with college professors. Now, I started out at Brea Foundation School, Brea, Kentucky. We had a history teacher there by the name of Warren Lambert, and he was a fantastic, great high school history teacher. He used to take us camping. We used to stay in an old log cabin, build a big fire, cold wintry night, and he would we'd talk about history, and he taught history that was outside the history books. He would talk about common sense history. You know, he loved talking about the Civil War, stories that he had heard from the older people. He loved talking about the Habsburg curses, and stuff like that. And we'd go to Fort Mountain outside Berea, on top of the mountain, and camp out, build a big fire, watch all. Back then, the lights were all turned out at night. You could see all the way from Berea almost to Richmond, and all the lights would go out at night, and you could see the stars. It was just, darkness has become one of our lost natural resources. They're lighting everything up so much. I like to joke around and say that, crime has increased proportionally to the amount of lighting we have. And so there you go. And we, so, but we'd sit up there on Fort Mountain and watch all the lights go out. And it would get darker and darker, but we'd have a nice warm fire going, and sometimes we'd have food, and we'd heat up coffee on rocks. And oh God, it was wonderful to talk about history. Till we all got so tired by 3 or 4 in the morning, we'd all fall asleep. And thank God none of us fell off the cliffs up there on Fort Mountain, and nobody rolled over the edge of the cliff and in their sleep. So we all came out of it alive. But he was such a good historian. And then as I finished high school and eventually entered Berea College, Warren Lambert was one of the professors in college. So I had him in high school and college. He was a great common sense professor. And Berea College, to be a small, independent school with no tuition, knowing they couldn't pay their professors a lot of money, we had 4 of the best history professors I think I've ever seen anywhere. And they were real close to the students. Dr. Ray, he was kind of a medieval historian, and he stuck pretty much to the script of history. He never got outside the curriculum. He never ad-libbed. He just gave his lectures. And then there was Drake. He was a liberal, a left-winger, sponsor of the Young Democrats Club on campus. But, he never let his bias interfere with the quality of his teaching. And he stuck to the curriculum, the agenda real well, taught American history with competence. He he was a good teacher, stuck to the history, the American uh, history, and gave us a good factual basis in American history. And then there was Richard Heckman. He used to tell us if you drop your pencil, you'll miss 200 years of history. And he was a fantastic lecturer, and he could fill up every chalkboard in the room in 10 minutes, erase it all, and fill it up again. Uh, Several times. He gave amazing lectures on history, especially world history and American constitutional history and stuff like that. But Warren Lambert was one of my favorites, and he was an absolute phenomenal historian. And these men, there was a lot of common sense in their history. They didn't go off on radical ideas and stuff like that. They gave us just a good basic grounding in historical principles without all the BS, and no political agendas came from their podiums. They were really, really good professional historians. And one experience I had with a historian at Tennessee Tech, he was supposed to have been the expert on the Alvin York history and here in East Tennessee. And I tried to communicate with him about Alvin York and the veracity of that story of what went on over there in France during World War One that made Alvin York so famous, made him the most decorated American soldier in World War One. And he refused to talk to me. He refused to discuss the issue in any way whatsoever. And he refused to discuss anything about Cordell Hull, who gave us Karl Marx's graduated income tax system, was involved with Woodrow Wilson getting us into World War One. Then he was Secretary of State under FDR and got us into World War II. Cordell Hull, I consider an absolute communist Marxist. He came from Jamestown, Tennessee, and he wasn't a stupid, ignorant man, but the Marxist, communist deep state of D.C. Brainwashed him immediately and took control of his mind and his actions. And he did things they wanted. And this professor, he wouldn't discuss any of this with me. He just he took a coward's way out and refused to communicate on any of these issues because I guess he was more into politics than he was into historical veracity and historical investigation. And then one time I had a friend down in Florida who met some Germans who had immigrated to the United States, and they had a group down there, and they met regular, and he got in with them, and they were Holocaust deniers. And they had like 10 points of Holocaust denial. And I won't go through all those. But he consulted with me, and he told me about these 10 points of Holocaust denial. And I wasn't really up to date on the Holocaust, so I signed up for a course at the American Public University out of Charlestown, West Virginia. Amazing, amazing school. And got this really great lady who taught a course on the Holocaust. And I signed up for it, took it, and ended up writing a 65-page paper on Holocaust denial and everything. She liked it so good, she asked me if she could give it to her students every year because she said her students all come out of high school thinking the Holocaust never happened. And they were being indoctrinated with these Holocaust deniers. And so I wrote a paper covering the 10 points. But before I signed up for that course, I was trying to get some historical, do some historical research on these 10 points of the Holocaust denial, the 10 things that they like to point out that prove the Holocaust never happened. Well, in my paper, I proved that those things not only happened, they were worse than people thought. And but anyway, before I signed up for this nice lady's course up at American Public University, I formed a letter asking their opinion on these 10 points of denial. And I had attended some colleges, so I sent it to colleges I attended. So I sent this questionnaire to 2 history professors at the University of Kentucky, 2 at Brea College. In fact, I sent a 3rd one to Brea College because there was a lady that was a swimming coach that was supposed to be their expert on the Holocaust. So, I sent her this questionnaire, and I sent it to 2 professors at the University of Tennessee, 2 at Georgia State University, and 2 at University of Georgia. And so I sent 11 questionnaires all told, and I only got one answer back, and he cussed me out for being a Holocaust denier. And I wasn't denying. I wanted to know what the truth was behind these 10 points of Holocaust denial. And I didn't get a thing out of these cowards, these men who refused to communicate with the public and enlighten us on what's wrong with these 10 points of denial, of Holocaust denial. And I only got one response back, and he cursed me out for being a Holocaust denier. And I never was a Holocaust denier because I had enough history in high school and college. I knew the Holocaust had occurred. I mean, there's photographic documentation, there's films, there's records. Many German films were discovered and used in the Nuremberg trials. I mean, there's no doubt the Holocaust happened. I just want to know how to counter these 10 points of Holocaust denial so I could enlighten my friend in Florida. And after taking this real nice lady's course up at American Public University, I told my friend down in Florida, I said, hey, there not only was the Holocaust, it was worse than you ever imagined it was. I mean, it was absolutely terrible. It's like Thomas Sowell said, the road to hell is paved with college degrees. Germany had some of the highest educated people in the world in the Nazi Party. And boy, you talk about college people with PhDs, doctorate degrees, doctors, lawyers, theologians, who were behind the Holocaust. And I couldn't get college professors to help me with these 10 points of Holocaust denial. So I researched it myself and wrote this paper. And this real nice lady asked me if she could use it to educate her students in who, because I wrote a paper on who, how they were organized, how they set up their news outlets and all that. But most of those Holocaust deniers, their organizations have gone bankrupt. What happened was Ernst Zendel and some of those people, they had a real good organization. They were raising money and everything. And that money, they got in a fight over the money, and that bankrupted them. They spent everything on lawyers. Lawyers got it all. And they ended up bankrupt, and they destroyed their integrity and what little credibility they had by doing that. But I am so disappointed in college professors today, the modern ones who are scared to address the real issues of our society and who go off on all these agendas and try to propagandize children in politics now instead of really looking deep into the truth of history and historiography, historicity, and the study of history as it should be. So many historians today, they're required to publish. They become scribes. They'll copy from 20 history books to write a new history book, copied from 20 or 30 other history books. And then that book will be used to copy from to create new history books. So history is really becoming too much like the Middle Age, the scribes in the Dark Ages, the Middle Ages, and before the printing press was invented, and that's how books were created back in them days. But anyway, that's my evaluation of modern history and the state of modern history. And today, history today is moving in directions that we are not too sure about because today, with all this modern technology, history is being recorded. Children, every child in high school has a smartphone, and they're recording everything they do. And if these recordings can be stored on a so-called cloud somewhere, then these historical recordings can really be of great benefit to modern history and the study of modern history. It's just fantastic because they didn't have this technology until recently, and now history is going to be a series of recordings, filmings. I mean, we're going to see history live. I mean, take Trump. He lets dozens of reporters come into the Oval Office 2, 3 out of every 4 days, 4 out of every 5 days. And they're getting live recordings of what's going on now, that everything is so transparent. It's amazing. But anyway, this is your Hillbilly Historian from the hills of Appalachia here in East Tennessee, trying to enlighten you on history as I see it. And you have a good evening, and we will see you later.